The night his greatest symphony premiered, the audience rose to their feet, roaring with applause. He stood with his back to them, hearing nothing. The greatest composer of the modern world was completely deaf. He was born in 1770 in Bonn, in what is now Germany, into a family of musicians. By the age of 7, he was performing piano concerts in public. By 25, he had moved to Vienna and become the most talked about young pianist in all of Europe. His name was Ludwig van Beethoven. Then in 1798, when he was 28 years old, he began to hear a faint ringing inside his ears. It would not stop. Within 4 years, he could no longer make out high-pitched conversation in noisy rooms. By his mid-30s, he could only converse with friends if they shouted into his left ear. To a composer at the height of his powers, this was a death sentence, written one note at a time. In 1802, in a small village outside Vienna called Heiligenstadt, he wrote a letter to his two brothers. In it, he confessed that he had thought about ending his own life. "It was only my art that held me back," he wrote. "It seemed impossible to leave the world before I brought forth all that I felt was within me." He sealed the letter, hid it in a drawer, and decided to keep living. The letter would not be found until after his death. By 1818, he was completely deaf. He could no longer hear his own piano, so he carried small notebooks everywhere, conversation books, in which his friends would write what they wanted to say to him. He composed by reading the score in his mind, by feeling the vibrations of the piano through his teeth biting a wooden stick pressed against the wood, and by imagining every note. In that absolute silence, he composed his Ninth Symphony. On the night of May 7, 1824, in Vienna, the Ninth Symphony premiered. Beethoven stood beside the conductor on stage, completely unable to hear a single note of the orchestra he had created. When the final chorus of the Ode to Joy ended, the audience erupted into thunderous applause and stood on their seats. He kept his back to them, still gesturing in the air. The soprano soloist quietly walked over, took his arm, and turned him around. Only then did he see 2,000 people weeping and clapping for him. He once said it: "Music is the mediator between the spiritual and the sensual life. It is the one incorporeal entrance into the higher world of knowledge." A man who could not hear gave the world a song that 200 years later still teaches it how to feel joy. Follow for more untold stories.